Okay, I have literally just walked around the corner. We were just at 10th and Patton, and I'm going to turn the camera around. Where you see that red sign right there, that is Patton. And it was one block from 10th Street. So Patton outlets onto East Jefferson. And if you just imagine now what they say was the route that Lee Harvey Oswald took to try to escape after allegedly killing J.D. Tippit. He walked up that street, obviously in a hurry, trying to escape, turned right onto East Jefferson and walked in this direction and tried to hide, allegedly, behind this gas station right here. It was a Texaco service station at that time. It was called Ballou, Texas Service Station. This is 401 East Jefferson. Now, according to Dallas Police Captain W.R. Westbrook, who drove there directly from the Texas School Book Depository, drove right to this location, interestingly. At about 1:25, he says that he borrowed a shotgun from a patrolman and began walking through the parking lot located behind Dean's Dairy Way and Ballou's Texas Service Station. This is Dean's Dairy, it's not now, but it was a Dairy Way station. And here was the Texaco station. So he told author Larry Sneed in 1988, I started walking up the alley. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get behind this here. Because this is important. So this is the Texaco station. And according to Westbrook, he's walking up the alleyway. So there must be an alley behind here. And maybe it's not there anymore, but in 1963 there was an alleyway behind here. And so I'm just going to walk, bear with me a little bit here. Looks like they've got a little car depot here. This is where they store all the cars. This is all part of the Texaco station. So, here's the alley. Okay, good. Alright, so we're coming up on an alleyway, as you can see. This is all behind the Texaco station. That's good, because this is where... here we go. Here's the alley. Alright. So Westbrook told Larry Sneed, I started walking up the alley. I can't even remember who the officers were at the time. One officer, whether he was with me or whether he was coming the other way. You know, you can see down at the end of that alley, that's Patton Street. So what he is thinking, clearly, is that Oswald, instead of walking on the main street there, which would be too noticeable, he turned right into this alley to be out of view. And anyway, Westbrook says, I can't recall whether it was me or another officer, I can't recall. He says, but look, there's a jacket under the car. I think it was an old Pontiac. So they probably didn't have a fence here at that time. And so they said they found a jacket under one of the cars in this lot, right adjacent to this alley. Okay? There's a jacket under the car. He says, I think it was an old Pontiac sitting there, if I remember right. So I walked over and I reached under the car and picked up the jacket, and this eventually turned out to be Oswald's jacket. Okay, so this is another piece of evidence. Remember now, according to the landlady, Oswald was picking up or putting on a jacket when he left the rooming house at 103. Then he was seen standing at the bus stop at 105. According to Butch Burroughs, he was at the Texas Theater at 107, buying a ticket. At 115, he bought popcorn. But according to the police, or according to witnesses, that's when Tippit was killed at 106. According to the police, it was 115. And of course, they're going to pin that on Oswald. And we got these timeline issues. It wasn't just Butch Burroughs who said that Oswald was in the movie theater at 107. a moviegoer and a witness named Jack Davis, and turn this back around. Jack Davis was sitting in the same movie theater, and he was watching Oswald. He said he'd been watching him for 20 minutes since he returned from the lobby at 1:15. So he corroborates Butch Burroughs' story that Oswald went to buy popcorn at 1:15. When he came back from 1:15 to 1:35, he's watching him because Oswald's acting very strange. And he says, it was 20 minutes. I was watching him before the lights came on. The police entered the theater. And he said, he talked about what Oswald was doing. He was moving around. He went out, bought the popcorn, came back in. He would sit next to somebody for a minute or two, like he was trying to scope out. You know, not a lot of people there. It was a matinee, and he was going from person to person. He'd go sit. Nobody sits next to somebody in a theater when the seats are all empty. But that's what Oswald kept doing, like he was looking for his contact. And he even sat next to a pregnant lady one time, and you know, she got real uncomfortable and got up, went to the bathroom. He just kept moving around looking for his contact, like he didn't know who his contact was, but he kept going around sitting next to people. And so Jack Davis notices this. Nothing else to see in a movie, waiting for the movie to start. So he's watching Oswald do this for 20 minutes. And of course, Oswald, you know, he says at 1:35 the lights came on, and approximately 1:45 Oswald was taken out the front, having been arrested. So Davis corroborates Butch Burroughs' account that the man that was arrested by the police, at least, entered the theater at 1:07, bought popcorn at 1:15, and for the next 20 minutes kept moving from seat to seat, sitting next to people, acting very suspicious, like he was looking for somebody, looking for a contact. And then at 1:35 the lights came on, the police identified him, moved in on him, and 1:45 he was arrested and hauled out the front. All right? So the question is, this is all happening at the same time that allegedly Oswald is ditching his jacket behind this Texaco station off this alleyway off Patton. None of the Tippett stuff makes any sense if you listen to Butch Burroughs and Jack Davis. This is why they had to disregard Butch Burroughs and Jack Davis, because they want that Tippett scene. They want him to be the culprit for having killed Tippett. They want that cop killing to go along with the JFK assassination. It paints a picture. It completes the cover story. But if you listen to Butch Burroughs and Jack Davis, none of this Patton Street detour could have been accomplished by Lee Harvey Oswald. It doesn't make sense. He was, according to two witnesses, in a Texas theater a mile away, and now we have the Dallas police say, well, no, he was killing Tippett at 1:15, and then between 1:15 and 1:25, he was running along in this alley, ditching his jacket underneath one of these cars here as he's trying to escape. And then he eventually made his way to the Texas theater. All right, there was somebody doing all this, by the way. There was somebody running along in this alley, ditching a jacket, who eventually would skulk along East Jefferson and be noticed as he enters the theater. It's just not the real Lee Oswald. This is why I started off today about all the doppelgangers. I think it's important for you to understand that these witnesses saw something that, you know, it's like the witnesses at the Tippett scene. You know, it looked like Oswald, right? All these witnesses at the Morgan gun shop, at the rifle range, at the Ford dealership, at all these places, they're running into somebody who says he's Oswald. Even at the embassies down in Mexico City, they're signing in as Oswald. They look like Oswald, but I got this dog chasing me around here. But they're not Oswald, and we have documents to prove it. Texas school book depository documents that show, personnel records that show he was at work all those times. And now we have more evidence from a guy named Butch Burroughs and Jack Davis who say it couldn't be the real Oswald, because the real Oswald, the one that you arrested, took out the front of my theater, he was, no, I don't trust this dog. He was in my theater at 1:07. I sold him popcorn at 1:15. And this other guy, I don't know who this other guy is, that's running around ditching jackets in the theater or behind the Texaco service station. I don't know who the Oswald or who the guy was that killed Tippit, or looked like Oswald killed Tippit at 106, or you say 115. It wasn't our guy. It wasn't the guy you arrested. That guy was, I sold that guy a ticket at 107, and I sold him popcorn at 115. So that's why I wanted to start off today with that story about all those different doppelgangers, because none of this makes any sense unless you understand the use of doubles and how it didn't just start in 1963 in the fall here in Dallas. It was started all the way back in 1961 when J. Edgar Hoover noticed someone was using his birth certificate to try to buy trucks at a dealership in New Orleans, and he wrote a memo about it. So when the FBI director notices it happening in 61, why are we surprised it's continuing to happen in 62 and 63? And here, I believe this jacket, this ditching of this jacket behind this Texaco station and along that alleyway was someone, because that was acting as a doppelganger, a body double of Lee Harvey Oswald. And he will later be seen along this same street by a shoe salesman before he enters the Texas Theater. And of course, we already know, according to Butch Burroughs, the guy that they later arrest had already been in the Texas Theater for a long time before the double arrived. Okay, now we'll go on to the Texas Theater.